guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to give you guys a tour around my living room and show you all of the plants that I have acquired. Elephant in the room, I haven't uploaded a video in almost 2 years. We honestly really don't even need to talk about it. The only things you need to know are I started and finished graduate school. I still am living in Cleveland, but I'm moving back to Texas this summer. And I have tattoos and a lot more piercings now. That's it. The recap is over. You have been updated. It's like 2 years never even went by. But today I just wanted to show you my houseplants that I've been accumulating. I actually started this year, 2019, with 2 plants that I had had for quite some time. And it is now May 15th and I have well over 30 plants now. So it is an addiction. If you are in the middle of your plant addiction, I welcome you with loving and open arms. If you are not yet in a plant addiction and you're just maybe thinking about it, it's great. Come on. I'm going to give you a quick pan around my room so that you can see overall what the layout of my living room looks like, and then we'll get started in talking about each little plant. We're actually going to start with this little set of plants right here. This is directly across from this window, which is a north-facing window. It is a rare sunny day here in Cleveland, Ohio. So just starting at the top, I have an oxalis purple triangle. It is currently in bloom, as you can see. It has these beautiful lavender flowers. And then of course the plant itself is just this gorgeous clover-like with like this lighter purple in the middle. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. This plant is really cool because it actually closes at night. Like all of these completely fold down. I'll insert a picture of what it looks like, and then they reopen during the daytime. So that's pretty cool. I found this plant at a local like flea market plant sale in a neighborhood around me, and it was only $6, which is a pretty good deal. Next to it, I have a philodendron. This is a velvet leaf philodendron. It is one of my favorite plants. I got this online at logies.com. I have it still in its nursery pot. I just have him in a cover pot so it'll look nice. And yeah, velvet leaf because he feels like he has velvet leaves. He's been growing like crazy. I think I want to create a trellis for him to crawl on because I like when plants crawl. Next up, we have one of my newest additions. This is a Peperomia caparata red. I don't know, I'll put it up on the screen, but this is a beautiful plant. It's like got this weird green tinge to it in certain lights, and then it's purple and it's got purple underneath. And I absolutely love this plant. This whole theme of this area is dark green and purple, as you can tell with the dark green, purple, and we'll get to the other ones. This is my purple waffle plant. He is not doing so hot. It's a beautiful plant. It's got like this green waffly texture, which is why it's called the purple waffle, with these bright purple undersides. But as you can hear, he's a little crunchy, which when I go to nurseries, most of their purple waffles are pretty crunchy. His leaves are getting a little crispy, so I used to have him over there in that window, but I moved him over here to see if that would help him out a little bit. He also had some really bad fungus gnat problems, and when I repotted him, he did not do well at all. So I ended up pruning back about half the plant, and there is some new growth, so that's good, but fingers crossed for that little dude. Next, we have my Wandering Jew in this really pretty old terracotta pot. It's got some really cool designs, hummingbirds and stuff on it. Wandering Jew is a pretty indestructible plant. Again, green on top, purple underneath. Beautiful, beautiful plant. It's almost got like this glittery effect to it. It's beautiful. And it's a pretty indestructible plant. Also ridiculously easy to propagate. Like you can cut anywhere, like just snip it there, stick it in a shot glass of water, which is what I do, and you'll have roots in a week. This right here is just a little string of some Baltic ivy. I'll pull them out so you can see them a little better. But I just love the dark green. It's one of my favorite colors for plants, and I put him just on this little bamboo stick that I have, and I kind of just tied him there, and I tied him there loosely so that way he can start to begin to trail up this thing. And eventually, whenever he outgrows this little piece of bamboo, all I have to do is just attach another piece with some string, and it'll work out great. Okay, now we're going to move to the coffee table. Right here, I just have 4 plants. I kind of rotate what plants are here. I would say this section gets some of the most intense light. So as you can see, we just have an aloe vera plant. He's still in his nursery pot as well. He has grown a lot, has a lot of babies. I'll be able to separate those and give some to my friends eventually. Over here we have just a snake plant. Again, I got this one at the same sale that I got my oxalis from, and he's doing real good. He's still in his nursery pot as well. I like to keep my plants in their nursery pot unless they need to be repotted for fungus gnat reasons or if they're really root bound. This right here is a peperomia obtusifolia variegated. So I have 2 of these peperomias. This is my variegated version. He has grown like crazy. Like this leaf right here is brand new. This leaf wasn't there when I got him. He's got a new leaf here. He is just really loving life. I have not moved him from this spot since I got him because he really likes it here. And this last plant, I have a, what is the name of this plant? The Olympia false Aurelia. That's what it's called. I got this plant because I loved how his trunk looks. It's got this like black and white effect on the trunks and the stems, which I really like. I also have a thing for plants that look like little trees. It's like, if it looks like a little tree or if it climbs or trails, I have to have it. So this kind of looks like a little tree to me. And he's a pretty slow grower, but he's doing pretty good. Now we're gonna move over here to this side of the couch. We have a Dracaena Hawaiian Sunshine, which this kind of has a little bit of a sad story. I got him from Whole Foods. Didn't really know much about plants at the time, and I ended up leaving him in his nursery pot, not knowing that the nursery pot had absolutely no drainage holes. So he was sitting in his own water for about a month. I managed to figure it out before it was too late, and I cut off all of the root rot, and there were some healthy, hardy roots left, but he really isn't growing much at all. This new growth has been here since the beginning of the year. I mean, he's not dying, but he's also not doing real hot. I put him in a terracotta so it'd be more well-draining, and I gave him a really well-draining soil. Right here, we just have some basil that I'm actually growing from seed, so they're doing really good. Over here on this little giant terracotta saucer that I have another peperomia here. This is just the not variegated version, which is ideal for me. I'm not the biggest fan of variegated plants. I love the greener and the darker it is, the better for me. And then I have my only 3 succulents here. I'm not a big fan of succulents. I used to really be into succulents, but now that I have normal house plants, I can see how rewarding it is to watch them grow so quickly. And succulents don't grow very quickly. Also, they only need to be watered like twice a month. So that really takes all the fun out of being a plant parent. But I have this one here that I've had since December of 2017. None of my succulents, except for this one, have a drainage hole, which I know is bad. But it's just the way they came, whatever. They're doing fine. I have this succulent here in this little pink pot. And then I have this larger succulent here. I have no clue what any of these are called again, but he is in a little T-Rex pot and he is so cute. I got this from the dollar spot section in Target. Now we're moving on over to the other side of the couch. So we just came from over there. Now we're over here. This is where the most humid part of the room is, because I obviously have my humidifier here. Next to the humidifier, I have my Fittonia. It's actually 4 different Fittonia plants in here. There's 2 pink, I think they're called Pink Princess, Pink Angel, I'm not sure, and then 2 regular ones. This has grown pretty well. I mean, it's a slower grower than my other ones, but he's still growing. I've had him for about 2 months now, almost 3. He's still in his nursery pot. You can see he's starting to bust out a little, so I will repot him eventually, but for now, I have him here, and I have him really close to the humidifier because I know they do really well in terrariums, but since I don't have him in a terrarium, I put him next to the humidifier so he gets a lot of humidity. These last 2 plants are my only herbs. Oh, well, I guess other than my basil, I have basil. But these are my 2 other herbs. This is dill, my dill plant. This is the most dramatic plant I've ever owned. I will show this picture right here is a picture of like right when it gets thirsty, it immediately droops this dramatically. And then this picture is just 30 minutes later after a watering. Like, how dramatic is that? I really need to figure out a better way to stake him. Then I have this herb, which I don't really cook with at all, but I am just obsessed with because it's a pineapple mint. Pineapple mint. It was on sale, and I just like absolutely had to buy it. Guys, when you smell that, when I smell this, it makes my mouth water. It's crazy. It smells literally just like pineapple and mint. I don't know. They grow it in some kind of lab, and I'm so glad they do because it's amazing. And then this is kind of like my nursery area. So I have a couple of plants here. This is just kind of pointless. I just like what it looks like. This is a black bean, like a single black bean in a little tiny pot that I grew just to see if it would grow, and it did. And I really like the foliage. I'm a big fan of the big leaves. So I kind of just keep watering him, even though, I mean, he's only ever going to produce like 3 beans. So it's kind of pointless, but I just like what it looks like. And that's just another one. Then I have my little propagation station. So I have 3 shot glasses. That's what I use to propagate my stuff. This one is some cuttings from a friend's plant. They fell off her plant and I just took them, and they are actually rooting. And then I have just a piece of my golden pothos in there rooting. I have 2 pieces of my velvet leaf philodendron. I've had these in here for a while though, and they have not grown any roots. So I don't think they're going to take, which is fine. This is my wandering Jew, and as you can see, it has ridiculous roots. This has only been propagating for about maybe 2 weeks max. This stuff propagates. You could spit on the wandering Jew and it would propagate. And then this is some wandering Jew that I actually cut and propagated, and it's growing. It's starting to get a little leggy because it wasn't getting enough sun, so I put it right here in the window. Here I have my Monstera Delicioso. Look at how beautiful and big this plant is, guys. I built this trellis just with some bamboo sticks that I bought at Home Depot. I just kind of wrapped them all together and put it in the nursery pot. He is still in his nursery pot. This is just a cover pot, but this plant is doing beautifully. I mean, look at these massive leaves that are fully cut. This is a brand new one that just opened this week, and look how beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. I mean, this plant is just like living it up here, and you would not believe it because I bought this massive plant at Walmart for $13. Can you believe that somebody was selling this plant for $13? I was just literally shook. Wasn't planning on buying it because me and Brandon are moving and this would be a pain to move. But when I saw it was only $13, I was like, are you crazy? I just went to a nursery today where they were selling this Monstera for $15, and it was like a fourth of the size of this plant. Walmart doesn't know what they're doing, and I'm not complaining. Before we move to the TV area, I want to show you the 2 things that are hanging in the window. So I just got these macrame hangers off of Target. This is obviously a spider plant. This is, from my research, a reverse variegated because the variegation's on the outside and not the inside. It's also called the white edge spider plant, and he has really taken off. As you can see, he has all of these shoots. He currently has a flower. He puts out a flower literally every single day at this point, and I take a picture every single time. I'm like obsessed with this plant. This has to be, I don't like to play favorites, but if I was going to play favorites, I think this would be top 3 for sure. I love this plant. Then over here I just have my ivy. So this is another kind of ivy that I have, and just this hanging planter, and he's actually potted in here. He is not in a nursery pot. Same macrame hanger from Amazon. I'll link it down below if I can remember. But yeah, he's doing great. He's actually a pretty slow grower, which is kind of disappointing because a lot of my other hanging and trailing plants are very fast growing, so it's not as satisfying, but he's doing his thing. He's growing. He will get there eventually. And I'm not exactly sure what this is called. I was under the impression it was a variegated wax ivy, but I saw this exact plant at a different nursery and they called it an iced ivy. I honestly have no clue, but if you know, you can let me know. And then we're on to the TV stand, which is the last section of plants, and the section of plants that Brandon hates the most because it's overtaking the TV, literally. Okay, we'll start over here. This is my money tree plant. I actually got this plant on my birthday, so it's pretty special to me. This is a brand new growth that has grown since I got it. Then I have a Philodendron Brazil. This plant I really, really like. Big fan of philodendrons because I like how they trail and they grow so quickly. So big fan of that guy. He's still in his nursery pot. Then I have a China doll plant. Now this plant, I had no clue what it was when I bought it. I just got it because, you guessed it, it looks like a little tree. And I now know that it's called a China doll plant because it's temperamental like a China doll and very sensitive. It actually has grown quite a bit since I got it. I really didn't think it had been growing, but when I looked back at a picture of when I first bought it, it really has been growing quite a bit. But it is kind of temperamental. It'll lose just like a whole set of leaves seemingly for no reason, and it is a pretty slow grower to the point where I don't even notice that it's growing. This got a little bit of a burnt tip here. I used to have him on my coffee table, so I moved him over here next to all of this so that he would get shade. He never gets direct sunlight over here, but he does get some bright sunlight. And then down here I have my alocasia or alocasia, I don't know how to say it. Alocasia poly, which is actually not called an alocasia poly, it's called an alocasia amazonica. And if you want to know why we mispronounce it and why everybody gets the name wrong, you can check out Betsy Begonia's video on it because she does a great job of explaining it. But I love this plant. It is probably the plant that I worry. It's the second most worrisome plant to me. It just is kind of temperamental. It needs a lot of humidity, hence why I have it not only by the humidifier, but I have it in a pebble tray, which, like, the jury's still out of pebble trays even work, but whatever. I have him in a pebble tray. I make sure to keep him damp so that he doesn't die. And yeah, he does have a new leaf that unfurled here. He does have new growth down at the base, but we'll see how he does. I worry about him, but this plant is spectacular. Like, this is my ideal plant. The dark green, the funky shape. Like, not only is it this like long arrowhead, but it also is like wavy, and then it's dark green with these thick veins and then purple underneath. Like, are you kidding me? It's wild, absolutely wild. But that's because this plant doesn't grow naturally anywhere in the world. Again, check out Betsy Begonia's video if you want to know. These two little plants here that I have right in front of our sound bar are just polka dot plants. I have them in terracotta. They're the same one, but this one is just much more variegated and this one's just not as variegated. Plant is also really dramatic, like my dill. It'll droop like it'll be like hanging over the sides like this, all of it just bleh, when it's thirsty. So, but I guess I prefer a plant that communicates well than a plant that doesn't communicate well. Over here, I have my two Hoyas. This one is I'm pretty sure Hoya carnosa variegata, and I'm pretty sure it's Crimson Queen. I could totally be wrong. I honestly have no idea. I just bought this plant. It just says Hoya, but it's a pretty big Hoya. I don't think it's Hoya tricolor because the branches are not, the vines are not pink. The little leaves are pink, but the vines aren't pink, and that's pretty distinctive of tricolor. Also, I don't think it's tricolor because the variegation's on the outside and not the inside. So I think this is a Crimson Queen. I could totally be wrong though, but I know it is a Hoya carnosa, so we got that right. And then I have my other Hoya. He's still in his nursery pot, kind of jammed in this other pot. He's being supported completely by this. He's not like hanging by his branches, but he is a Hoya Iris Marie. I got this one from logies.com as well, and it's doing really well. It's got really hardy, nice leaves, but it hasn't grown like at all. And then our final two plants, this is my Lucky Bamboo plant. This is always in my bathroom. I just brought it out for the purposes of this video. This is my most worried about plant because I have had this plant since 2014. So I've had this plant for 5 years. He actually came with a partner that made a heart. Brandon gave it to me as a gift, but that partner quickly got some kind of disease and died, which was fine. the other part survived. He used to have this little branch with all these little leaves coming out here, but I actually pruned that. As you can see, I actually cut that off about a month ago because they were all dying and I was scared that something was going to spread, and it was working too hard to try to keep that alive, so I just cut it off. He's just not doing so hot. He's not growing new leaves. His leaves before I cut them were browning really bad and yellowing. I use filtered water, so that's not the issue. He does have a new shoot here, and the new shoot was growing very quickly, but it has stopped growing. I can check its measurements by the nods on the actual bamboo, and he has not grown past this in about 2 or 3 weeks at this point. So I'm very concerned about this. I've taken him out, cleaned his roots, cleaned the water. I keep him watered, but I'm very concerned about him. And then last but not least, one of my favorite plants, my golden pothos. I just love plants that trail. I love plants that climb. I love plants that can physically take over objects, like he's taking over my TV. I just think that he is beautiful. He puts out a new leaf almost every single day, like this one's coming out, and he's just constantly has new shoots, and I'm so proud of him. Look, here's another leaf. I love him to death. That is an overview of all of my plants. I hope you enjoyed this video. I promise it'll be sooner than 2 years before I upload my next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.